Well, greetings, world, and greetings, Seven Spot. It's Seven Spot Jim, and I'm here in the Seven Spot studio, and we're going to go live with the Kit Car BS show, and it's basically that's what it is. I'm going to bring in a bunch of friends right now.
Hello, I'm getting on there.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
So let's go through who we got to the right. Is that John?
Yeah, evening.
Now this is new. Is that Dave Lascelle? You got that fresh look. You lost about 20 years.
Now you'll know who I am. I'll just
Welcome to the show, and Aric Streeter.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
And Trevor, Oscar's Garage, Rolfe. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, to be or not to be. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to hit it one
Oh,
banner
mine
here.
already?
No, not yet.
Not yet. I just want to do the standard stuff that all the YouTubers do on live shows. Say who's watching. So if anybody's watching on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever you're watching us, send us a note and say hi and where you're watching from, and we'll acknowledge you. And in the meantime, I do want to say a big thank you to Chris Hollier, who sent in a messenger note congratulating us on the first show, as well as Jason Smith, who sent in that. Jason Smith, whose last name I can't pronounce. And secondarily, I want to congratulate Jason on being our Seven Spot Garage Builder of the Month. So we've got 3 people watching already. And so thank you for watching, and let's get into the show. Dave, I'm gonna let you take it away here, because we're gonna introduce you and Aric, and we're going to talk about aerodynamics for a brick.
so I don't know what we're talking about, because I love shoving bricks through the air. I have an 80 series Land Cruiser that's like a brick but tall, and now we're building a 7 that's like a brick but short. And I thought teardrops were the fastest shape, so hopefully Aric has some ways to explain to us how to get the air to do the teardrop thing while still looking cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the key, right? You got to look cool while you're throwing your brick through the air at rapid velocities. So, and you can make bricks go fast too. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lightweight brick goes a long way, and apparently also a brick that's close to the ground helps.
Yes, those are two key things for sure.
So I know that you're on your time attack car, you've got front ring, rear wing, and I don't remember if you have vented front and rear fenders or not.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. But the front fenders are the CSR style with the top, flat tops and that sort of thing. So that probably helps lift a little bit. But
I do like the look of those, the flat tops. Yeah, that's what we've got on our MK. Yeah, whether it's any more aerodynamic, I don't know.
Yeah, it can't hurt. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So when you were working to develop the aero that's on your car, what were the primary considerations that you guys were making, and like where did you start solving problems? Because I know that you can buy canards from Caterham, but I'm not sure that's really going to solve the problem of getting all of the air in and out of whatever front wishbones we're all running efficiently. And I have those same CSR fenders that I believe are GBS, but mine have the little window in the back, so I'm if it rains, I'm going to get sprayed like crazy. But,
you gotta get used to that. That's a normal thing. By the way, I just added Eric's Substack page, and if anybody's interested in all things about driving and about making your 7 stick, that's the place to go. And if you go into the description, there's a link that'll take you right there.
Yeah, great technical articles there. I love the technical side, but yeah, go and have a look.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been working on that for a bit and sharing a lot of stuff into the 7 Spot community. So hopefully I'm able to bridge some of the gap between, I don't know if I'm even using the word right, punters versus technical people, but
yeah, there's a lot of nonsense out there, and I'd rather speak to you. Yes, put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like debunking the nonsense. That's kind of
Yeah,
how
yeah.
I'm wired.
Well, while we're at this point in the discussion, I know Dave and Aric are planning to do a show a little bit more explicitly on this, and this is a teaser for it, really, because I know in the last show you talked about the application of wings and that sort of thing, and then on certain courses that you use them in. Would you mind elaborating a bit about that?
Yeah, and I'll try to kind of tie in the question that Dave asked too, like, how did I, or what was I trying to accomplish when I was doing aero on my car?
Yeah.
And one of the things that was really apparent that didn't really stick out from the things that I had read and talked about with various people that had raced Caterhams in the past is that the front end of the car is really where a lot of the fixing and improving needs to be done, right? So like if you look at a typical 7, people like putting wings on the back, diffusers, that kind of thing. What I found was actually the opposite end of the car was the part that needed most of the work.
Well, they get light at front.
Yeah, they get light at speed, and then that lift is going to increase as the square velocity, all that technical mumbo jumbo.
So bricks actually can fly.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, and you look at a normal 7, you're talking like 200 pounds of downforce at 100 miles per hour kind of thing. So it's not insignificant either, right? Especially when you're talking about a car that's with driver, call it 12 to 14, maybe 15, 1600 pounds. I mean, it's a pretty big part of the total equation. So that's what I focused on first, because what I noticed when I started time attacking the car was it's hard to get slick tires up to temperature with a lightweight car. I mean, that's kind of a thing. But beyond that, what I noticed was I was having to brake very gingerly into high-speed corners, and basically throwing away seconds. So what I started working on, and it's kind of manifested itself into what my 7 looks like now. And I'm sure we can probably put some links up to some pictures and that sort of thing, Jim, for people that haven't seen it.
Absolutely.
But it's very front heavy from an aero perspective. I have a big 3-element wing on the front of it, and honestly use the rear aero that I've added. There's a 2-element wing on it, but I can almost get away with the single-element wing. Just given the natural balance of the car. And that's kind of the other thing that we'll dig into a little bit in the more in-depth show, is that if you look at, and I put this in the Substack where I kind of described the development of my car. If you look at a 7 from the top angle, it's kind of shaped like a triangle, like an arrow, right? Yeah. And arrows tend to want to go straight. So because they want to go straight, and I often say this, I don't know how accurate it is, maybe some of the guys on the other side of the pond can back me up on this, but when you see a 7 stuck into a ditch somewhere, it's almost always going forward. So the front always meets the hedgerow first, right? So
there you go.
So that was basically the focus on what I wanted to do, was to kind of remove that behavior, it wanting to, and obviously they're very nimble cars, right? But the faster you go, the more dynamic forces take over. So removing the behavior of wanting to go straight, and then actually being able to brake the car with some amount of aggressiveness, and literally take seconds off of lap times if you do it right.
Well, that brings up an interesting, different question, one that's just been sitting on my tip of my tongue. Now that you mentioned the arrow that you've added, did you have to do anything special about your brake balance?
No, not really. Actually, I do have an adjustable bias on my car, and it's basically just on the rear, right? So it basically proportions or decreases the braking force on the rear. And what I've found, even with the enhanced front aero, I can run basically full wide open brakes. And this is based on a Caterham tandem master cylinder that's proportioned for like racing and that sort of thing. So I mean, there's sizing considerations and that kind of thing. But I have driven some race cars that are too rear brake biased.
That's the
you know,
worst.
on track, and yeah. I mean, you'll literally spin out without even, you know, knowing what happened, and so I've always been kind of wary of that, right? But like, yeah, with the aero balance I have, even, you know, focus as I mentioned over the front axle, you know, I can run full rear brake bias. Now, case in point, or probably something I should probably mention, I do have pretty wide slicks in the back of my
Yeah,
car.
you do. Yeah.
So that probably contributes to a certain extent, but yeah, I can brake with full confidence way later than most other cars that I'm competing with too. And I don't have them on outright speed, but you know, the fact that I can brake so much later, you know, with my car, you know, literally like hundreds of feet later in some on some courses, is definitely an advantage to make a relatively low powered car go faster on track.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to interject here again, because I just wanted to add again that we do have some people watching, and Jason said that he's watching. He's got his Kleenexes and he's ready to go here. But also we got JV McLovin 73 in Tamworth. Hi there, JC.
That's not far from me. That's Midlands way.
Well, he's just saying he's started building his MK RX 250.
Nice choice. Nice choice.
Yeah. So, moving right along.
Yeah. So, we, as a brief recap to what's happened so far, we're going to start at the front and then be, I would say, considerably less concerned about the rear if the front is managed well. Yeah. And obviously, we're not ground effect cars, so we're not pulling anything out aft of the front wheels. Like, we're not trying to have a Formula One floor with vanes and all of this. And when a diffuser does help, if you have a full flat floor. But I think based on what I usually see, there's also a huge hole where everybody's sump is hanging. Yeah. So did you guys do anything? Did you take that into consideration, or did you just say, listen, air's going to come here and I'm going to vent it out the hood and try to get it over my head with the aero screen? Or did you just say, listen, what did you do?
Yeah. So my car is a dry sump car, and it's got a Rover K series in it. So it's a relatively small engine, right? All things equal. But the stock non-dry sump pan does sit very, very low.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's literally probably, you know, at race height, you know, it would be 2 inches off the ground, if that, right? So I do have a dry sump to alleviate that, but it still sticks below the, you know, protrudes below the floor of the car. I did play around a little bit with sealing that area, but I have dropped floors in my car too, right? So that kind of interrupts the flat floor. But what I noticed was, and I basically just built an aluminum sheet that seals off most of the bottom of the car, and just, you know, used a couple of the rivet locations to hold it into place. The engine cooling became quite a bit of a problem, right? You know, even though sevens have, you know, the majority of sevens and seven shaped objects have, you know, vents on the top, you really need that positive pressure inside of the engine bay to draw out that air. So as soon as you seal it, you'll probably get an aero advantage, especially if you're not running drop floors. You know, like Dave mentioned, the planform area, or the area you're actually working with from a floor perspective, is pretty small compared to like a closed wheel car. You know, so there's arguably, you know, probably, I don't know, maybe 50, maybe even 30% of the effect you can get out of rear underbody aerodynamics as you can with a, you know, a saloon type car. But the cooling ended up being enough of a concern where I just, you know, kind of ignored that. You know, I wanted to keep the engine healthy. You know, obviously I'm in the US, so, you know, managing and babysitting a Rover K series engine, even though mine's been very reliable, knock on wood, you know, it is a little bit of a challenge, right, and a little bit of a worry. So I want to make sure that the engine stayed healthy. So I kind of abandoned that route and worked on what I call top side aero, right, you know, wings and things. So
yeah. And just for those of us who haven't seen in person, the drop floors on the Caterhams, I believe they, like, when you look them up, it's like 40 mils. But is that 40 mils below the bottom of the frame rail, or is that 40 mils from where the top of the frame rail would have been?
Yeah, no,
internally?
it's a full 40 millimeters below the bottom of the frame rail. So call it an inch and a half, right?
Yeah.
In English speak, but yeah. So and for me, I'm not the tallest guy. I'm like 5'11", almost 6 feet. I can fit in a Series 3 or standard,
We have
narrow
nothing
body
to say.
chassis. Yeah. But like
Face
for
isn't dead.
me, yeah, yeah. For me, getting the seat lower was definitely key to having a comfortable seating position. I have plenty of leg room. I mean, I could probably move my seat another 2 or 3 inches forward if I needed to, or 2 or 3 inches back, right? If I was similarly widthed and a bit taller. I see a lot of people saying, hey, I need an SV or wide body car to be able to fit my 6'2" frame into. I kind of push back on that a little bit. It really ends up being down to how wide you are, not how wide the car is. Because I've seen people 6'2", 6'4", fit in a standard length S3 style standard width chassis relatively well, especially with the lowered floors. Those do a big change to the driving position in my experience.
Yeah, very cool.
I had a question coming in about tyres and what are everybody running and any recommendations.
You sure those questions didn't come from you, John?
It's come from. Let me have a look. No, it's come from 7-Spot Media. 7-Spot Media. It's come.
Whoever that is.
Yeah,
he's a plant.
JM and Esham.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll answer just briefly, but I'll caveat it by saying my use of my 7 currently is strictly race. So I'm racing slick tires, so take that into account. What I've noticed though, and we talked about this a little bit, Dave and I did when we did the walk around on my car. My car has what Caterham calls the wide track suspension. Yeah. And the wide track suspension was made to kind of liven up the overall handling of the car, right? There's a proportional relationship between the width of the end of a car and how lively it is. Basically, the more narrow it is, the more it's going to respond to lateral loads and that kind of thing. So Caterham widened the car in the front, but they didn't do the same in the back. And people generally like that because it made the car, a little bit more lively, all things equal. But I kind of ruined that by putting big wide tires on the back with the proper offset, and so I'm like 2 inches wider overall, or an inch side to side, with pretty big slick tires. So so take that as a kind of a caveat there. But what I've generally seen with road going Caterhams too is if you have a narrow body, obviously this would be similar for non-Caterham 7s of the narrow body and standard suspension geometry from a width perspective is the relatively wider the front is, or maybe I should say it like slightly differently. If the front and rear tires are similarly width on a standard car, that's going to be a really good balance. Mm-hmm. If you widen the front, similar to what Caterham's done with the wide travel, or I'm sorry, the wide stance, wide suspension, you're probably going to be, pretty lively in the rear. I mean, that can be fun. Yeah. It can also be a little bit, worrisome depending on, where you're driving. So I think there's a balance there, and it's definitely something that I've learned in tuning my car, and things that most people probably wouldn't know just kind of off the cuff without having experienced it. So I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on your driving style as well, because some people like the back end hanging out, some people don't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And sevens are very, in my experience, I mean, you're basically sitting over the rear axle, right? More so than almost any other car. They're very easy to anticipate. So like if you get a little oversteer, I mean, a little bit of counter correction goes a long ways, especially if you're, on tires that aren't like crazy sticky, right? They'll give you plenty of warning before the back end wants to do something, silly. So, like you said, right. I mean, a lot of people like that, I think it's a great driver training tool because of that too, because you're not just like pointing a car, around a country road or a track or wherever you're driving, you're actually driving it. Right. You listen to some of the older guys, like I think Mario Andretti has a a section in one of the books that he wrote about, at the limit, you're steering the car with the throttle more than you are with the steering.
Yeah.
And the Caterham and Sevens, definitely help in that regard to kind of develop that skill set.
Yeah, you feel the car rather than just potting around. You feel what it's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
I think even though, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say it's one of those cases where probably a motorcycle is probably the other analogy.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're part of the system, right?
Yeah.
You're not driving in the car. The car is driving with you. Yeah.
With it. Yeah.
It takes a little while to get used to that. If you've just been even any other sports car, like a typical sports car, you just don't have that lightness, especially the light front end lifting and just confusing you all the time.
Yeah. Keeps your brain engaged.
Aric, I wanted to say thank you for that, and Dave and Aric, I'm looking forward to when you two can get together and do a live stream, and maybe we can draw in a few people in advance and make it an educational thing. And
sure.
Yeah,
maybe Duncan Cowper.
Yeah, Duncan would be good to have on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what we can do. I know that he'd be up to it. But moving right along, we've got to move on to the next guest, and the question of the day is to be or not to be.
I'm finished.
Yeah, Trevor,
I've got the steering working, by the way.
We've had a comment. If
you're interested, the steering's working. Look,
we've had a comment come in for you as well.
I am known to be. I generally drink wine. Anyway, I'll put that down now. What, to be or not to be?
Yes, that is the question.
What is the question? Was this more, Jim, about where they've all gone?
Well, basically, you and I were
thing.
in a private chat, and we were talking about what I was wanted to introduce you and bring you into the show. And it started on with to be or to not to be, reflecting on your ownership and the build, basically. But it somehow it digressed, as it always does, to where have all the kit cars gone?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to go back to my sort of Genesis day of picking the kit up from Robin Hood, they were, for those of the people of the kit car world that haven't been lucky enough to experience one, they were something else. Give you a brief overview. You arrived at the middle of an industrial estate upping sort of Nottingham way. Mansfield Woodhouse rings a vague bell. And you found somewhere to park, and there was a sort of queue winding its way out of this building. You joined on the back of it. Bear in mind, mine was 2001, I think, I picked that up. And you joined the back of this queue, and you worked your way down to the front. And they brought out this colliery trolley, which had your chassis on the top, and then all your parts and everything else underneath. And basically, it was your whole kit on one trolley. And you could order extra, I ordered the double wishbone suspension and stuff like that. And you could order sort of extra shocks and all sorts of wonderful pieces. And the thing I always remember is, do you remember, not phone box, you remember phone booths where you used to have these little domes where you went in to make a phone call?
Yes.
Well, Jenny, I think Richard's partner's name was. She was there having to ring up the card company with each transaction when you came up to pay, because at that point everyone had just put down £100 deposit. But she was in this little booth with your card going 5434. So anyway, so we went off, and there was probably 80 to 100 people there that day, wandering around comparing parts, like wondering why they'd only got one wiper, and then realising you have to chop it in half to make two. And stuff like that. He only had 2 days a year where you could go and pick up kits, so it was packed. Well, it was a bit more than that. From memory, I think there was at least 6. There might have been as many as 8, and I think he flexed it a little bit depending on how many orders. But let's say for a rough total, let's say there was 8, and there was 80 people at each. So that's 640 kits a year. And he brought that kit in about 97, 98 when SVA came in, and they finished in, I think, 2005. So 8 years, 6 8, 48. So about, there must have been somewhere in the region of 5,000 of those kits. And it'll be interesting. We all had a quick guess of what percentage we think of those got finished, because they still keep appearing. Incredibly, I saw come through on one of the Facebook pages a Spartan kit car unfinished, still in its original gel coat, Cortina donor. The bloke had got it up on its wheels, put the body on it, and that's as far as it got. And Spartans were last sold in about 1987, so they're still out there and appearing. So even if we say, let's be generous, say 50% were completed, do we think that's a reasonable number?
Yeah.
Or maybe a bit less. Let's say 40%. So there should be somewhere close to 2,000 completed Robin Hood 2Bs out there. Now at Malvern last year,
you were the only one there.
I had a chat. Yeah, well, are you one of these people that call out the punchline before someone's told the joke?
Oh, shut up.
I had my day doing lots of extra bits and pieces I didn't expect, PA and stuff like that. And literally what John said, I came back to the car and I was knackered because I'd been quite busy. And this bloke came out and he was just so grateful that I'd bought my car to the event, because he said, I've been looking for one of these all day. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this is absolutely ridiculous. You've got, even if well, let's be really unjust, say only 20% of them got finished. There was 1,000 done. You'd think, well, there was going to be 20 at the National Kit Car Show, wouldn't you think? And it was more rolling on. I've had this discussion. Who did I have? I brought it up. I managed to bring it up in a video when I was having a debate with someone. Oh, it was with Jeff Buys Cars. And we were talking about people going to shows and that kind of thing. And it was that thing of like 20 years ago at the National Kit Car Show, you would have a field full of Quantums, a field full of Robin Hoods. You would have, I believe the caterings were there as well. And there was just all the areas were full and they were busy. Now, the question that really this sort of bubbled to the surface is, it's fairly unusual for people like me. I built my car, got it on the road 2004, so I've had that 22 years on the road.
Wow,
and
22 years. Wow.
I'm fairly unique because 22 years, and I'm fairly unique in that. I think there are a lot of people, either there was a guy that picked his car up that lives local to me, and he built it in 6 months, which was quarter of the time I took, and then I think within a year had sold it, and then built a Pilgrim Son, sold that, and then built a Chesil Speedster. And he still got that, and he just moved his way sort of effectively up the ladder. But there's other people that have built them, put them on the road, and then just sold them straight away because they just want to enjoy a build. Some people have had them 10 years. But you've got this big number of cars of Quantums and West to an extent as well, and Robin Hoods, and Duttons. And I know a lot of Duttons have disappeared onto the continent and become something else, and we won't talk about people doing dodgy stuff with ownership documents on this channel. But we all know it goes on. But the Duttons used to, move swiftly on. The Duttons used to be quite a big area. They were built in large numbers. I was reading an article today where Tim had produced something like 8,000 kits. Now, we know not all of those got built, but I don't even recall there was a Dutton presence. If there was, it was in single numbers. And it's just like, what's changed? I'm actually coming to a conclusion here. I know Jim said go solo, but I'm probably taking up 14 of me 15 minutes. But me question is, what's happened to the culture of car ownership? And I think it affects classic cars as well, that people aren't quite so keen or enthusiastic to go to local meetings, or local clubs. I think a lot of people are living it online. They're going, well, I'm in the owners group on the Facebook or whatever, and that's all I need to go. That physical element of getting your car out and going to meets and talking to other people and going to Malvern and so on. What's changed? Is it a younger generation and they're not so social? I don't know. I'll throw it open to to the floor, really. But
can I jump in for a sec, Trevor? Because you asked me.
Yeah. I've used up most of my time.
No, you can go on
Trev.
as much as you want.
It's
But I'm
open.
glad that you mentioned. First off, I'm glad you mentioned you threw out the question of what types of people own the cars. But secondarily, my thought was in the comment you made, like you had that friend who was a builder and he built one, then it built another, and it built another, and it built another. Well, that's one class of an owner. Whereas for me, that thing behind me is my sole accomplishment. I don't know if I'll ever build another car. I've owned British sports cars. I love them, but the type of person who builds one themselves, unless they're serial builders, and we've all interviewed people who are like that, they tend to build it and hold on to it for a while. I know John's had his for 20 years.
Pretty much so, yeah.
Yeah, well, the other thing, if I could just throw in, is...
Go on.
Yeah, if I could just throw in, I think there's an element of, and exactly what Jim says there, that's been your passion, you built it, and it is to an extent with me, even when I was out there today swearing when it's leaking petrol the day before I'm trying to take it for its MOT. But you've got that connection. There is no bigger connection for me than actually physically building the car. I can remember that first time I got the plate, I got it through SVA, I got it plate registered and driving it, and the feeling was just something else. And I'm sure other guys have felt the same thing. I think the problem is if you go on for years and these cars aren't really dropping in value because there are other things you can buy, and for that few £1,000s, other people, I think, sometimes are buying them, and I know cases of it, people are buying them on the spur of the moment. Seems like a good idea, and then they discover it needs maintenance, or it's got no air conditioning, you get wet when it rains, yada.
Or the missus finds out about them.
All those kind of things, and then either they get sat in the garage and forgotten about, and that quite often happens, I believe, or that they just get passed on. But I think when it moves down that hierarchy from the person that's built it to the second, third, fourth person, you lose that passion for it as a car, and it becomes just a toy. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, just something in the garage.
But I think that there's an element. I mean, there are people who are restorers, and they will essentially build the car again. And those cars may be garage princesses, but they'll be loved and have their oil changed and be washed regularly. I mean, that's a different class of owner as well. And then there's people like Dave. Dave, is a low cost builder, and there's a completely different class, because basically it could take him anywhere from 2 years to 20 years to build it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Jim.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth mentioning too. I was going to mention, what Jim was saying. There's the restorer class of people, right? Typically, those aren't going to be, at least in the United States. I mean, obviously, take that with a grain of salt if it's not the case in the UK. But like kit cars here, they end up, not being restored, right? Because there's really not that much of a community. It's the Jaguar, E-types and the, MGs and that sort of thing that people tend to restore, as opposed to, even a kit car with some sort of provenance.
Yeah, it also
I
makes me
think
wonder,
it's
just like how spread out is everybody here. Like, we see a lot of these things like, Americans have never experienced a British winter, or never experienced a British summer. I'm like, yeah, it's British summer inside my house with the air conditioning on. So also I can drive 6 hours in one direction and not see anybody I've ever met. So there is like a space component, I think, here.
Yeah. You're talking about the sense of community then.
Well, yeah, I mean, we, Aric and I would call us like, at least internet friends, if not regular real life friends, if we ever get to meet up. But from Nashville to Detroit is like, that's a full day
8
drive.
hours,
And if John and Trevor wanted to meet, it's half that, I would say. And I'm bad at geography in England. It's not my fault. I'm not from there. But, I got a friend down the road.
Malvern would take John. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
Go for it.
That's what we're talking about.
I was going to say, to give you an idea of scale, John to get to Malvern would probably take him about 3/4 an hour, if that, and it would take me probably about 2 from where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the
And
potential
that's
for
for
the
the
meetup.
national show, the most sort of.
At Malvern, yeah.
Yeah,
We've had a comment coming about USA shows. Like if you go to a cruise, how are you guys finding the USA shows? I guess you don't have that many. I know, Jim, we did the OBFM and All British Field Meet stream.
Yeah, I'll go first on this too. I'm sure Dave's probably got some comments too, but I completely agree with the comments that if you go to a car show here, I mean, it's really, really rare to see a kit car of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might get a Myers Manx, you know, every once in a while, you know, maybe, you know, a 7, you know, I'd say probably the most common one would be, you know, like a Shelby, you know, a Cobra or something like that you'd see. Those are relatively common, but you almost always see the lead sleds, right? You know, the Cadillacs, the Buicks, the Camaros, you know, that kind of thing. And you know, and I guess one other comment I wanted to make too was the commenter mentioned you know, that he wishes there were more shows here. I used to, before social media, I used to like dream about making trips to England during the summer and going to all the shows. I don't do that as much anymore because you do get that you know, fulfillment to a certain extent, you know, online, right? You see a lot more stuff than you would have, you know, back in the day before, you know, social media was a thing too. But, you know, no excuse though. I still want to make it to England and go to all the racetracks and see all the car shows and meet you guys and everything. So anyway, I'm rambling.
I can recommend Kit Fest at Santa Pod. You'll get the chance to run the strip. Sorry, advertising.
Nice. No, these are all great things. Like another factor here is that like I have another internet friend through 7spot, who's literally down the road from me. We've tried to do like shed walkthrough. I'll meet up with him at some point and do a walkthrough. His car is amazing. It's still a kit, but it's not 7 shaped. So there are so many more, like the Factory 5 influence of the kit community here is huge. I mean, if I can just go buy a Fox Body Mustang and put
Cobra or whatever,
a body on it and make it look like a Cobra, and it's got side pipes and it's loud, and I'm just going to get coffee every other weekend, you know, my brother and I build it together, you know, or you built it with your dad, whatever the case may be. Like the kit car, that's like feels like more the kit car community here, even though they don't feel as kit to me. Like that's like assembly. Right. And I mean, there's a mini kit on a spindle by a pizza place down here that I had to have Paul identify for me. I'm like, dude,
I remember that. Yeah.
For sure, it's a mini. And he was like, oh yeah, it's this and this, because you know that stuff is super rare here. I've probably seen 8 original minis on the road, and I've driven
like
in 32
ever,
states.
right?
So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
You never.
It's
similar. Just stuff you don't see unless you live in Southern California and people are importing them. A place where the weather's great. You know, like Aric has salt on the roads months out of the year, so you're not trying to drive your kit car on the street that much. And like I'm building mine, sort of unbuilding it from scratch, sort of, and rebuilding it. So like the process. But you know, my buddy Brian had to drive to Atlanta 4.5 hours to go to a kit, to like a either kit or classic. I don't know. We were talking about it, and like the distance is, I think, for us, like one of the biggest factors. Because for sure there are people who have done it, but the unifying place of like 7spot, we're mostly talking about 7-shaped objects, but there are so many other kits that were available, possibly because all the pre-IVA SVA stuff made it like easier for you guys to do that, and we already had regulation of sorts. You know, once you have one major accident on the highway here, oh well, we're going to have regulation about this, so we can't fiddle with your own stuff. And then like California, it's its own special thing where you can make a custom made car out of nothing and get it licensed. Yeah, but you can't have loud exhaust or headlights that are less than 28 inches off the ground. It's like, so, and I'm not sure those are the exact things, but there's so many odd regulations that as states also get involved, like it's just a little bit tricky and wonky here, I think, to get one completed. And that's why people here, I feel like, probably go for like, you know, they're using Factory 5 more than they
Yeah.
would just do a custom thing.
Yeah, it's the easy option, right? You know, factory fives are so prevalent. You know, I mean, it's almost homogenized, right? Everybody, if you talk kit car here, what
Yeah.
people are going to think of is a Cobra. You know, they're not
Yeah,
going to even
I would get the
consider a
GT40.
7. Yeah, well, or that. Yeah, actually, that's a good point too. You know, similar kind of vein, I guess. But
Because, like, I mean, who's that? Like, Humble has his Ultima, right?
yeah,
I will never see one of those on the road. Period.
yeah, I
Like,
love
there's-
those things. Though
There's
those things
probably
are awesome.
only how many of them are there? There's one guy who built his out of like Audi parts,
Yeah,
and then I don't know what Humble put in his, but like they're not around. It would be
Yeah.
so hard to find.
Yeah.
And incredibly cool.
Yeah, and Tim is right. He sees cars for sale. There's a guy giving away a roller today on Facebook. I was like, come on, man, why can this not be here? I would have rented a truck and driven 10 hours for that. Yeah, Tim can drive 10 hours and not leave Michigan. I'm like, yeah, I drove 4
Yeah.
hours to get my frame. I overpaid for it, and it's not exactly what I needed, but it was there, and I thought it was a good deal at the time. So, like, having them come up constantly, on the UK pages makes me nuts when it's like, hey,
I know.
I'm 92% done, so it only needs 80% of the work left. So but
Yeah.
it's free or it's $1,200. I'm like, oh, you know, I
Man,
I got that much in just parts that I broke.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a very valid point. In my build, I can't tell you. I've got a storage locker full of junk that I broke, including an engine.
Yeah, well, I'm divorced.
Well, that you're definitely broken.
It's one fewer person to be mad at you, dude.
Well, I think that we've explored that side of the discussion very well, and I want to thank Trevor for coming back to the show. He got kicked out of the stream, and welcome back, Trevor.
Oh, he disappeared again.
And he looks like he
Can't
just
see-
disappeared
can't
for a
see him,
moment.
yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure he might come back.
Yeah, I
In
think
any event, I'm going to bring John into the conversation now because we're going to be talking about our latest little venture, which is our Discord. I'm going to bring the Discord into.
Yeah, bring the Discord on.
Yeah, hang on a sec.
And Jim, you can go on to explain what it's all about and blah, blah,
Well, I'm
blah.
not going
It's,
to get into the big explaining about what it's all about. Otherwise, we'll be here for 3 days. What I want to do is introduce the notion of Discord and why I went to the trouble to create it. Discord, so for those who are the uninitiated, is it's a gamers platform, basically. But what I wanted to do is find another way to share our content, perhaps not as broadly as through Facebook, but I want to combine Facebook, our YouTube activity, and create a Discord that operates in a magazine style.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it kind of it looks like any forum page that you go to, and we've broken down into categories. But the reason why is, especially for, I guess, the younger audience, we're losing people daily off of Facebook because the young people just have no interest in Facebook whatsoever. And so I wanted to offer at least the opportunity to explore our content on a platform that lives outside of Facebook, and I'm using the funnel of YouTube and our Facebook group to provide content. Now it's broken down into different categories. One is you introduce yourself, and then basically I mentioned that Jason is going to be the recipient of our Builder of the Month this month, and basically that's it. And
it's it's got a lot of swarf. It's got a lot of swarf.
Well, and it also offers an opportunity to communicate. Now, I'm going to wind back and sort of like in the Wayback Machine. Is that Facebook about 3 years ago? They took the position that they were not going to allow external linked live streams to broadcast natively on Facebook. That's why now if you go to Facebook to watch any of our live streams, it's basically a YouTube link. You used to be able to do it natively on Facebook. but
You can't.
they
Can't
didn't
now.
want the competition. So now it makes it difficult to homologate, if you will, all the services that we want to serve. For instance, we want to do call-in shows, impossible to do on Facebook as it is, and on YouTube, can't do it either. But with Discord, it does have a voice channel that'll allow people to call in. Now it can be either a video call or just a phone call. But I'm thinking just from the perspective of one of the things that holds people back from calling into call-in shows is for instance, on when I do a stream on StreamYard, people will have to identify their name, whereas on Discord they can create a name of their own and
A handle.
operate anonymously. So that'll take away that fear, if you will. So
you don't have to put your own name up on Discord. The other thing with Facebook, I mean, my old Notus account has been blocked. For advertising, bizarrely. Anyway, got over that. Created a brand new account, brand new email address, brand new telephone number. I went in to start rejoining the groups that I was in under Notus. Within half an hour, that got banned for advertising again. Had to appealed. They brought it back up. I've lost all my contacts under my old Notus account. I mean, how many people on here have been banned for 30 days for reposting a meme that you found on Facebook?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I'm supposed to be running 5 kit car groups. And as admin, how can I, when you keep banning me, and people started emailing me, John, where are you? What are you doing? And I'm thinking, well, I can't, because Facebook have hold my hands. I can't do anything. I've not been banned from Discord yet. Give me time.
Well, unless you start swearing or posting pornography, you'll probably be relatively safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of stuff on Discord before you get kicked off. I know that from friends that do gaming stuff. Some of the chat rooms and wait rooms and green rooms or whatever they call them.
The variety of services they offer it's universal. It's really big.
Way more than Facebook can. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Facebook is basically what is the average age of a Facebook user? Is our
60.
age,
60.
Yeah, it's probably 50, 60, 70.
Yeah.
My sons don't use it. They just do not use it. They used to, but now I try and message them, and I know I'm not going to get a response because they do not use it. Oh, and the interesting about when I got banned as not as John, not only you get banned from Facebook, but they've also banned you from messaging people.
Yeah. Which
is new. So as I say, I've lost all my contacts.
Well, I think it was the right decision.
Well, you still found me again, John. So wasn't that sort of comprehensive?
Wait till you find out who reported you.
Well, that. I can come on to talk about that. Yeah, I do feel that. I don't know. Maybe
Please don't.
Get paranoid. I might be getting paranoid, but maybe people do report certain things deliberately. My new Facebook account as well. It's only been up for less than a week, and it's been hacked. So people are sending out friend requests. I've not got many friends in my new list, obviously. So if you do get a friend request from me off my new Facebook, just ignore it because I've been hacked.
That's crazy.
Facebook is not secure. Facebook is not secure.
I'm going to jump in here, get away from the discussion about Facebook, but I want to give credit where credit is due with regard to my decision to build the Discord. Dave, you were the one who mentioned to me, that you have
I'm super helpful.
There are a bunch of communities of car builders who are actually using Discord.
Yeah, I have had really good. I mean, I had good experience. I'm not like big on Discord. I'm not in a gaming community, but I'm in a bunch of other Discord communities. And the one was from a buddy from my master's program. And the ability to go into Discord, start chatting with somebody and just say, hey, can you jump on a call real quick in the call room? And hey, just talk through it for a minute. And you don't have to be, let me send you a friend request on Facebook and then I'll video call. Like, you don't have to have that, like that direct connection.
It's just very low friction. Low friction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Martin has called me on Facebook to just on the way out the door, literally, to hold his phone under the back of his car to show me how far something was from something else. That's Martin. He's the kind of guy who will do that. But we could do that with 1,000 people in 6 months and not have to know their phone number and their whole backstory and not have had done shows on here in multiple contexts. I feel like it's generally a helpful community, and being someone who's going through the process of still searching for help, it makes that access to the information really direct, and you don't have to check it all the time.
Yeah.
But you know when you go that you're only going to get that stuff, and you don't have to scroll through 600 ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To find,
Yeah,
hey, we were talking
again
about
because
this.
there's one bit I forgot to mention about John. John is the editor of Seven Spot Live magazine. Now he's prolific. He's such a spammer. Like he can't help himself. And I just wanted to say that that's one of the other things we want to put together in the Discord is access to our live streams and everything else through Discord and through the magazine. So again, just being able to spread it a little bit further, a little bit wider, and making it easy.
Yeah, and the beauty is, if you post something on Facebook, it will get lower and lower down people's feeds.
You can't, John.
Yeah, half the people won't see it. If you post a YouTube link, that goes straight to the bottom of their feed.
Yeah,
half the people will never see it. Whereas on
that's because they can't advertise. They can't develop any advertising money off of a YouTube.
Well, exactly. I think that's why I got banned for advertising, because I am not paying for advertising on Facebook, and because I'm was over 5 kit car groups and posting stuff about kit car shows and blah blah blah. They saw that as advertising. Hang on, we're not getting any money. Ban him. That's just my opinion, anyway.
Could I just, when he's finished his Facebook ban, could I just make an observation? I'm not a Discord user, I'll be honest. I've always gone in there, and it's always seemed to me very difficult to find anything. But the way you're describing it, have we almost gone back to vinyl of going back to the old school forums that we all started with before Facebook groups and all that carried on? Because you'd have a website, and then you'd have the forum for that group, wouldn't you? And you'd go on there as, Banana Plant 146 or whatever, and, you would post, and you would get to know other people and that kind of thing. And it was a bit more anonymous than what everyone assumes that the person you're speaking to, unless they're a spammer.
It's like going on to UK low-cost builders site again, and which I used, 20-something years ago when I was building that, and it was very helpful. And in essence, this is like that, but it offers a whole bunch more real services. Oh, and by the way, we're going to be adding a gaming page to the Discord.
Yes.
So if you're into sim racing, who knows? We might need an announcer.
Not commentating. I've retired. I'm not commentating. I only do real stuff now. I've upgraded. If I could make one quite funny about going back to the forums, just a classic one. This was literally the day before my SVA, and I was trying to put the mirrors on. I know, a bit late in the day, and I went on the forum to say, where do I put? How far from the back edge of the bonnet do I need to put the mirrors? Because I want to leave the correct amount of space for the windscreen mount, so I don't have to multiple drill holes in a stainless steel bonnet.
Yeah.
And like a third of the replies were, well, if you're taking it for SVA, you should be fitting the windscreen. And you're just thinking, for God's sake, I'm just asking, all I want is a dimension. And they're all like, well, actually, no. Well, if you built it properly, you'd have put the windscreen on. And, really, we shouldn't be telling you this information. And you just think, hang on a minute, we're all on the same side here,
It's not what I asked. Yeah.
That's why you go to YouTube. Go to YouTube.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it wasn't around then. I knew. I'll tell you when I knew when I was buggered when I was putting the Z-Tech engine in, because I googled something and the blog I was doing came up.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've gone full cycle, so I was trying to research it, and the first Google result came up was my own blog, and I thought, oh bugger, I'm on my own now.
Yeah, I think kind of further
Anyway,
to
I
that point,
digress.
and some of the points that I think Dave was making too. I think Discord for me is very friendly, and like if you find the right group, I mean, to your point, Trevor, it's sometimes hard to find the right group, but once you're in it, it's like really old forum days where everybody was kind of doing the same thing in the same context with the same, kind of love and passion for things. Yeah, I think where Facebook and a lot of that went south is, these things are all algorithmic powered, right? So like they're going to push things, based on engagement only, and they don't really care whether the engagement is good, bad. They're gonna, try to monetize things via advertisement and that kind of thing. So you end up kind of in a negative feedback loop. Where where Discord for me anyway, I'm on a few of the car groups too. Is kind of a breath of fresh air. Is people are kind, people are nice, even if they're anonymous. You're still kind of talking amongst a group of similarly interested people instead of getting hate from people because they mentioned, respond to a lot of things in a negative way.
You mentioned it. It says the censorship is personal. Like the administrator or the moderators will take a look at what you're saying and doing, and then kick you immediately. Whereas it's not an algorithm with Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a proper human being. I mean, the thing with Facebook and some of the groups as well, I've seen a lot of dangerous information that people are putting out there.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and how to set your brakes up and how to cover them in grease to stop them rusting. I have seen that, and I'm thinking, you can't say that. You don't know what you're talking about. So that's, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, as you can probably gather.
Wait, was I not supposed to grease the brakes? Come on, John. You told me. A private message.
These digressive.
Well, the interesting thing, I saw an observation.
Go for it.
There was somebody there. There was someone talking about Facebook the other day, and so how it was established was us pushing things into it, showing people what we'd had for breakfast and what we were doing that day and the sunset and all that kind of thing. And now the push is the other way, that we're being, you look through your scroll and it's not all your friends in your group and that, it's all adverts or things that have been suggested to your groups that have been suggested to you. And you get about 20% of what you actually really went on there for 20 years ago because you want to look at, what your friend's doing in Canada or whatever. But it's interesting, that evolution of it has been so gently done that we haven't really noticed.
It's the boiled frog analogy, right? It happens so gradually over time, you don't really notice.
Well, lively discussion.
Go on. You're absolutely right, Trevor. You go onto Facebook and it's all adverts, not what you wanted to go there for.
Yeah. Well, guys,
that's what's monetizing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring me into the conversation here. Guys, it's been, again, we're on for an hour. It could go on for another 3 days, I'm sure. But I wanted to say that certainly I didn't want to make the Discord discussion this lengthy because it's not even fully built now. It's been up for 3 or 4 days, and we got to load it up with real content. And I'm going to have to do some purging because I don't want it to be a bunch of spam and a bunch of YouTube posts. It's the purpose of it is to encourage people to come in and share their own build stories, like what they were actually doing. So we'll probably be working with a number of people to bring them in and build out the stories. But before I go, I do want to say thank you to all of you for being with us. But what's on the horizon is kind of an interesting story too, because we do have some shows coming up, and I'm just going to touch base with Trevor quickly because you're going to be releasing a show on a death in the family.
That sounds
That's
cheery.
a bit dramatic, Jim.
It sounds cheery.
Well, it was interesting. There was actually a bit. Me and Jim had a late night. Well, it was late night for me. Moment together last night, and stop thinking what you're thinking. And this is why he's gone onto Discord, because you can allow all that kind of weird stuff. But we had this late night moment because I was working on the Westfield Chesil one because I had a bit of a crisis last night over videos to put out today. And it was interesting. We came together over my 2B, but the first big project we all did together was that Westfield Chesil first interview. And Jim did the stunning job of battering down the door of Simeon and Nigel to get access. And we were the first ones in there. Jason came along and Jason came along and he did the filming. And what some of you may not know is that the audio was cocked. The bane of my life. The audio failed on some of it on the first time, so we actually had to go back and re-record it. And Westfield Chesil were very cooperative with that. And we put that video out. I remember me and Jim had this ambition that it was going to do 1,000 in 24 hours views wise. And I think it hit it after about 23 and a half hours. And, you know, champagne corks went off across the globe. And it was just that when I was finishing that video last night, I sort of was titling it, and I suddenly went Westfield Chesil, and I went, what do I call it? And I went, The End, because it was such the journey that we've all been on in various ways. And I know we all joined at different times and done different things, but it was so how Westfield Chesil was like there at the start when we really got between us all 7-spot going, and then obviously I splintered off to do Oscar's Garage, and obviously I still got Kit Cars in my heart, but it was just that moment of wow, you know, we've been there for the failure, the rebirth, and then the failure again of one kit car manufacturer. And me and Chris Hollier had a really good chat on it the other night. We tried to be as positive as we could with our thoughts of where maybe they could have done things different and where it would best head next. And time will tell on that one. But I just thought we've been there for the whole narrative of Westfield Chesil, which was quite surprising considering it first went bust nearly 4 years ago, or Westfield went bust 4 years ago.
2022, wasn't it? I think that it went to Chesil, didn't it?
Yeah. Well,
there is a full timeline on my video.
There's a nice segue to bring John in, because that was my next little thing on the horizon. I know that you did an interview with Richard Beatty of Bat Cars.
Oh, top bloke. Yeah, check out the Bat 200 car. Fellow Cumbrian. I only lived there for 7 years. Wasn't born in Cumbria, but yeah, top bloke. Lives in Carlisle. Tattoo artist. Total artist. He will not leave a car that he builds go out of his studio unless he's absolutely 100% it's what he wants to do. So yeah, he's got a lot planned. He's got a wide arch version. It's already out there. Body kits are available. He's doing now engine upgrades as well. So the one he's building at the minute, it's not had the pistons done. It's had the bottom end done, lightened and blah, blah, blah. The engine should be good for 500 horsepower. He's going to knock it down to 460, which in the back of a Toyota MR2, that is going to go. He's got options to fit the VR6 in, the VW engine, which if you want a turbo it, you're looking at 1,000 horsepower in the back of that, and the chassis will handle it. But yeah, there will be a video coming up on that.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Is
waffling.
I was just going to say I assigned you to go and have a discussion with him. And I was hoping to get. I asked both you and Richard to give us, about a 30-minute point by point on it, so we could add some B-roll and then have something we could look at. And of course, you agreed right away and produced something. It was an hour and 45 minutes long.
Aaron. Yeah, we did waffle a bit, but when you get talking, I got on really well with the guy. He's a lovely bloke. He's offered me a free tattoo, and I don't know what to have yet. Maybe it'd be 7-spot on this side, or I don't know, Northwest Kit Car Group on this side, or Total Idiot in the middle. Yeah, I don't know yet.
Well, on that, let me just put this back.
Let me see the footage, Jim. I'll hack it down to 30 minutes.
Yeah, very good. So I'm going to bring myself in here, guys, and I'm going to say thank you again, Dave, for co-hosting this with me, and Aric and Trevor, and John and myself.
Thank you.
And,
I got that far, by the way.
I forgot to say, Dave and Aric, I am looking forward to that future show whenever we can put it together. And I think it's one of those ones that we want to make sure that we do it right rather than do it quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one too.
Yeah. Okay, guys. On that, I'm going to say, how long have we been on? An hour and 5 minutes, guys. I'm going to
That's
say
about usual.
thank you, and we'll see you later.
If I had a donor, Sierra, I would build a 7 in the yard. If I had a donor, Sierra, you could help, it wouldn't be that hard. If I had a donor, Sierra, we'd be cutting up the chassis in the rain. If I had a donor, Sierra, if I had a donor, Sierra, I would build a 2B with some panels slightly square. If I had a donor, Sierra, if I had a donor, Sierra, we'd be sourcing bits from eBay with a mismatch here and there. If I had a donor, Sierra, if I had a donor, Sierra, we'd be fighting rusty bolts and pretending that we care. If I had a donor, Sierra, I would build it just for you. If I had a donor, Sierra, if I had a donor, Sierra, we would not need anything brand new. If I had a donor, Sierra, we'd be pushing when it won't go through. If I had a donor, Sierra, we'd be fixing all the things we never knew. If I had a little money, if I had a little money, I would build a low coast from a book and bits of steel. If I had a little money, if I had a little money, we'd be measuring and cutting till it almost looked real. Woo! If I had a little money, if I had a little money, I would build an MK Indy with suspension that feels right. If I had a little money, we'd be driving late at night. If I had a little money, we would finally get it on the road. If I had a little money, we would tighten every single bolt. If I had a little money, we would never have to push it home. If I had a lot of money, if I had a lot of money, I would build a Westfield with a proper coat of paint. If I had a lot of money, if I had a lot of money, fuel injection, not carburetors, running smooth without complaints. If I had a lot of money, if I had a lot of money, I would buy a Caterham with a badge that carries weight. If I had a lot of money, we would never have to wait. If I had $1 million, we would not be building in the yard. If I had $1 million, we would buy one ready from the start. If I had $1 million, we'd be driving every winding road. If I had $1 million, we'd still build one anyway. If I had $1 million, just to drive it for a day.